Welcome to Repum Group's Item 24, where we take you a step beyond the standard FDD. We asked ourselves, why stop at 23 items when some of the most important insights live beyond the page? Here we're breaking down the inner workings of franchising and sharing real-life strategies and stories that drive the industry forward. Welcome back to another episode of Item 24, where I have a very special guest today, one of our clients and friends, Dan Reese, who is president of the MilkShake Factory. We are very excited to have you on today, Dan. Would love you to tell our audience a little bit about your background and what the MilkShake Factory does.
Yeah, thanks for having me on, Nick. Appreciate it. Real quick, like you said, I'm president of the MilkShake Factory, and I've been partnering with the founders of the MilkShake Factory, Dana and Chris Edwards, for the better part of a decade. My background is actually in consulting and private equity, MBA. I worked for Heinz, led brands like Heinz Ketchup, and then did the Kraft Heinz integration. So I had a whole career in kind of corporate brand management, Fortune 150 type of work, and then wanted to do something completely different. That's when Chris and Dana are fourth generation chocolatiers. They had stints in the White House of all places in the George W. Bush administration. So they got to fly around in Air Force One, in all the big events of the George W. Bush administration of 9/11 and Katrina, et cetera. And then after that, they decided to come back to their family chocolate business. They opened a chocolate shop in the Pentagon, and that's kind of how it started. And then actually started getting into Costco, and that's when I met them. It was just getting going into Costco, so I was kind of the big brand CPG guy. So I actually got involved with them through their Costco chocolate business. And we grew that over the course of 6 years. And MilkShake Factory was actually just a little mom and pop store that was Dana's mom's little old school mom and pop chocolate shop in Pittsburgh with a red tin ceiling. So that's how it was for quite a while. And they started scooping milkshakes in the summer, and they kind of rebranded it from a chocolate shop to the MilkShake Factory. So very humble beginnings of the MilkShake Factory. And then we rebranded it and got serious about the operations and built out 10 corporate stores over the next 6 to 8 years, and then started franchising about 2.5, 3 years ago. And that's the road that we are currently on.
Such a great background. And you know what? When I was introduced to Dana at first, I was so surprised when I heard the year 1914, right? And knowing that fourth generation chocolatier came into this business, I know that they have a background. They're from Greece originally, and it's such a cool story. I come out to Pittsburgh. Her dad comes to the Discovery Days where candidates come and see what MilkShake's all about, and it's just such a family business, and it's just awesome to see. So thank you for talking a little bit about it, and of course, Dan, you have an amazing background. I think it's safe to say that you're smarter than me for sure, and anyone else in the room most times. Yeah. They're lucky to have you, obviously. But one of the big things that I would love for the audience to hear is, in a very crowded F&B space, what makes the MilkShake Factory stand out and why?
Yeah, I think it's really the intersection of world-class product quality. So again, founded by chocolatiers, quality is everything. We make our own vanilla ice cream in-house, and we partnered with the head of the Penn State University Creamery, to make our own vanilla ice cream recipe that's specifically designed to be blended in milkshakes. So a lot of nerdy science goes into that, but if you take the normal scoops at an ice cream shop, it's a very different blending experience, a lot of inconsistencies, etc. So it's world-class quality, but it's also world-class efficiency. So just going to Dana, our founder's kitchen, and having her make you a world-class milkshake, that's hard, and a lot goes into that. But that's not enough to be able to scale a business nationally. Then there's also a lot of places you can go through a drive-through and get an okay milkshake, and they'll make it really fast. But there's really nowhere that you can do both, is get a world-class milkshake that is consistent and repeatable and made in 90 seconds. So if you go to your local ice cream parlor and order a milkshake, like I promised you, the line will come to a screeching halt. And the shake might be okay. It'll also be very inconsistent. Like if you and I are working at the ice cream shop, my 2 scoops will be different than your 2 scoops, and your shake will be thin and my shake will be thick. And that inconsistency becomes a big, big problem as you're scaling F&B. So really, it's kind of the intersection of those two things. There's a lot of great F&B businesses, but ours is so simple. So we, as we kind of say that we're the F&B solution for the non-F&B person. So we have a lot of wonderful franchisees in our system currently that are very successful, that have gone into the whole franchising process and talking with your team about, anything but food and beverage. And then they start to opt in. They see MilkShake Factory. They see it's so simple. And they can be very successful because there's no full service. There's no ovens, there's no hoods, no grease traps, etc. So I have a lot of respect for everyone that does do full service or even quick service F&B. Certainly not for the faint of heart. So we get to do all the fun parts, all the people stuff, all the community stuff, without opting into a lot of the cost and complexity.
Yeah, that's a huge component. I think most candidates coming in are scared of restaurants because
Yep.
of the obvious. Think about the
Yep.
average fast food location. I've heard up to 75 employees at some of these locations, which is a lot to manage, right? And the
Yes.
consistency, and to your point, cooking and hoods and all those things that go into it, grease traps, all that stuff's a big component of why people get scared of restaurants. One of the things I was fascinated about in the simplicity of the MilkShake Factory is, can you just talk about the fact that you start with vanilla, one flavor, and it all gets mixed from there, and how simple it is from there?
Yeah, absolutely. So we call our menu the illusion of complexity, where if you walk into MilkShake Factory as a consumer, you'll see this big menu, all these varied options. It's sundaes, it's different tiers of shakes. So a lot of great variety to pick from. But our secret is you come back a house, and like you said, our entire menu is made from that same vanilla ice cream that I mentioned a minute ago, where we don't have all these different ice creams in stock, where it's the same vanilla ice cream, and then to assemble the finished product, it's just scoops of inclusions, it's pumps of our own proprietary family recipe syrups, and then milk, and then you blend it, and then you finish it with our own whipped cream, sometimes a chocolate topper. So it's very formulaic. And as you know, when we take candidates through Discovery Day, you can never have worked back a house in a food and beverage operation in your life, and you can make a world-class milkshake. You might not be perfect, but you'll see how easy it is. There's a big grid. Yep, 2 scoops of this, 2 pumps of this, blend it. So the operation is super, super simple, but to the consumer, it still looks like there's a lot of wonderful options to pick from. So that's kind of the secret sauce, and that just minimizes. We effectively have no waste in our business whatsoever. We don't offer sizes, so there's a lot of thought that went into these items back of house that, to the untrained eye, most people wouldn't even think about. But most business people, when you really kick the tires, they're like, oh, that's actually very thoughtful, and that really matters when it comes to running an efficient business.
Totally. I sitting behind the counter a few times myself, seeing the ease of it made me feel comfortable, and I definitely am not comfortable in running a restaurant for sure. So that was really good. I would say one other thing, I want to talk about is we've had a lot of success with you, right? The partnership with Rep'em and MilkShake Factory. I mean, we have over 150 territories in development now in just a very short period of time, just about 2 years. You've now started to open locations. As we know, it takes about 12 months to open a location after a franchisee signs a franchise agreement. So tell us a little bit about the success you've seen out there with the franchisees starting to open up in new cities outside of the home of Pittsburgh, where the MilkShake Factory was founded.
Yeah, that's obviously the big unknown when you franchise. Like, we know we kind of have this cult following in Pittsburgh with 10 successful corporate locations, but do people like MilkShake Factory in Texas and Florida and Utah and all these different places? So like you said, with 150 awarded, we wish that you could snap your fingers and you get them open in 2 months. We plan for around a year. Sometimes we do a little better. Sometimes it takes a little longer. But now we're on the steep end of the curve of getting these open. So this spring and summer, we're opening about a store a week, roughly, or about 3 a month. So as we sit here today, we have 18 stores open. And as at the end of a year ago at this time, we had 1. So a lot of growth that's been very exciting, especially this spring and summer, of all these new markets. And then the answer is, do people like MilkShake Factory? How is the operation holding up? And everyone can go look at our Google reviews of all these different locations. I think our lowest Google review in our entire system is 4.7 stars, which is a very, very high number for any food and beverage business. So most of them are 4.8, 4.9 stars. So yes, people like MilkShake Factory. And then some of our stores are absolutely blowing the corporate stores out of the water from a volume perspective. So our franchise AUV has already outpaced corporate, which is fantastic. And that's a big, it's a good problem to have. But take our Hilton Head store in the summer. Hilton Head summer milkshakes, not exactly that hard to understand how they be dealing with. They're almost dealing with what I would call theoretical maximum volume. It's almost how many milkshakes can you make in a day is the constraint, as opposed to how many customers you can serve. And that's a big stress on the operation. It's a brand new team in a brand new market, and our operation is really holding up, which again is a testament. You and I can talk about how simple it is, but the real rubber meets road test comes when you're in a brand new market with a brand new team with a line out the door all day. Like then you see what everyone's made of. So the fact that that's holding up really well has been super encouraging. So again, just seeing open up in all these different markets with all these different operators and see people just react so positively to the business and the products has been super rewarding.
It's great. Okay, two more questions for you. Number one, what makes one quality, if you have one quality that you could pick out for a franchisee being successful, what quality would you say is that?
One? I have a lot, but we'll try to prioritize here. We always say this is a people business. So, we can teach you everything you know about the operation and how to get your store open and site selection and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, it's milkshakes and it's chocolate, and it's all about creating that. Again, it's a fun business. So it's all about creating that culture with your team. You take care of your team, they take care of the customers. And it can be the best milkshake you've ever had, but if someone has their arms crossed and they're short with you when you're checking out, you're like, hey, well, what was their deal? It's not a really elevated hospitality experience. So that's really important that people are passionate about that, which again is people, and then also connecting with their communities. We don't want it to be some nameless, faceless, oh, that's some big chain. Our most successful operators are out there in the community saying, hey, I'm a local business owner, come check out MilkShake Factory, and their eyes light up. They love doing that work, kind of the whole mayor of the town thing. And if they really nail the people part, both inside their four walls and outside, they'll all but certainly be pretty successful in this business. But if they want to sit behind an Excel spreadsheet all day in their office, that's probably not this is not the business for them, and that's okay. And we try to be really transparent with that, throughout the process. And the people that opt into the people part, that's easy. I got that. Like that's a great place to start.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And you're right. Community is everything. Customer service, no secret there. That's what drives good businesses. All right. So probably the most important question I'm going to ask you today. What is your go-to order when you go into a MilkShake Factory?
It's a great question. I learned this from Jeff Edwards, who you mentioned earlier. So he's third generation chocolatier. Dana and Chris, our founder, it's their father. Wonderful man. He told me, so this is the real. I kind of stole this from him, but it makes me sound good. The ice cream purist order anywhere you go is a classic vanilla. So get a classic scoop of vanilla. You get a classic vanilla shake. So it's not the sexiest order out there, but that's the ultimate test of quality. And there's nowhere to hide, there's no inclusions, there's no flavors, and that's where we stand proudly on the quality of our vanilla ice cream. And then that of course manifests itself in the vanilla shake. So for anyone out there in the ice cream game, go get a classic vanilla, and that's the real test of quality. So that's actually it's a little bit counterintuitive, but that's the ultimate veteran order at the MilkShake Factory.
I love that advice because people sometimes make fun of me. I'm a vanilla guy, and they say, you
just
want nothing in it. I'm like, no, I want vanilla. I love vanilla ice cream, vanilla milkshakes. They're the best.
Absolutely.
So, that's the great.
That's the evolved take. Don't let anybody shame you for that. That's the veteran move.
All right. I love it. Dan, thank you for coming on. Again, Dan Reese, president of the MilkShake Factory. We're honored to have had you on our Item 24 show today. We're excited that we have such success with you, and we're honored to be partners with you in the success of the MilkShake Factory. And so as you open more locations for our audience, go check out MilkShake Factory. It'll be opening your community before you know it.